take a trip back to 2013, when Democrats actually supported what they now oppose. On March 7th of that year, the Senate had confirmed Obama CIA director nominee John Brennan. Now, bear in mind, he was previously director of the National Counterterrorism Center and reportedly a supporter of enhanced interrogation. 13 Republicans were among the 63 senators who voted to confirm Brennan, including Senators Lindsey Graham and John McCain. Just 2 Democrats voted against the nominee, Pat Leahy and Jeff Merkley, along with independent Bernie Sanders. Now, the issue of Brennan's involvement in enhanced interrogation, that whole program, didn't concern the Democrats on the Senate Intel Committee back then. Of the 50 Democrats who voted to confirm Brennan in 2013, 36 are still in office. During Brennan's confirmation hearing in February of 2013, weaponized drones were the big issue. This is how the question of waterboarding was addressed.
What steps did you take to stop CIA from moving to these techniques you now say you found objectionable at the time?
I did not take steps to stop the CIA's use of those techniques. I was not in the chain of command of that program. I had expressed my personal objections and views to my some agency colleagues about certain of those EITs, such as waterboarding, nudity, and others, where I professed my personal objections to it. But I did not try to stop it because it was something that was being done in a different part of the agency under the authority of others. And it was something that was directed by the administration at the time.
And that was that. Move on. Well, it wasn't until December of 2014 when the Senate Intel Committee released a report severely criticizing enhanced interrogation, describing the techniques as torture, which yielded little intelligence, that anyone began to really care that much about it. During a press conference as CIA director, Brennan suddenly reversed course, defended the program, and refused to label techniques like waterboarding torture. Even the media seemed a little bit sympathetic. NBC's Andrea Mitchell, she lobbed this softball at the CIA director.
Do you think the bin Laden case can be attributed in some part to enhanced interrogation techniques or torture?
The detainees who were subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques provided information that was useful and was used in the ultimate operation to go against bin Laden.
Well, not only did he go on the record defending the Bush administration's aggressive interrogation tactics, he also reportedly objected to the Obama administration's decision to release the Bush interrogation memos and other related documents. Apparently, he did think the program had value. Whether or not it actually led to the elimination of bin Laden, who knows. But now remember, Brennan was the CIA's deputy executive director when enhanced interrogation techniques were being used. And he still was confirmed as CIA director by Democrats. Brennan was also the superior to Gina Haspel, now President Trump's nominee to become CIA director.
Were you involved in any way in the creation of the enhanced interrogation program?
Senator, I was not, and I was not read into the program until about a year into its existence.
And guess who learned about the enhanced interrogation at about the same time as Gina Haspel? Congress. Yes. Fast forward to today. And suddenly Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats want to raise a big fuss and pretend that they hold the moral high ground against torture? Where were her objections, or any of their objections, when they were being briefed on these techniques? Instead, Democrats and Republicans like McCain and Paul are using the Haspel's involvement in the program to try to block her confirmation as CIA director. Boy, what a difference 4 years makes.
Mr. Brennan is without a doubt qualified for this position. People who have worked closely with him regularly cite his work ethic, his integrity, and his determination. John Brennan, by all accounts, will be a strong leader. While many nominees have classified backgrounds, you are very unique. Were you an advocate for destroying the tapes? You are aware of what those tapes contained. Did you oversee the enhanced interrogation of al-Nashiri, which included the use of the water board as publicly reported? Yes or no?
No, what happened? What happened to that first die-fi? Why do the very Democrats who supported Brennan now oppose Gina Haspel? So what's changed? Very confusing. I'll tell you what's changed. Donald Trump is now president. And to Democrats, he must be stopped at all costs, and he must be denied the personnel to help him advance his agenda. You see, it's really not a tale of two confirmations. It's a tale of the two faces of the Democratic Party. One face says it supports a robust national security, and the other will do whatever it takes to stop Trump and then regain power. And that's the angle.